An anonymous Twitter account sent markets reeling today. How are you going to tell me that the stock market is any different than a coin at this point? Like, this is insane. Everything is held together by confidence, and everything that Trump is doing is undermining said confidence. It's creating unimaginable instability and volatility, which will allow some people to make money in the short term, but that is not long-term stability. The stock market is a vibes casino. We have historic diseases that we had eradicated due to vaccines. They're making a comeback. Complete financial collapse of the global system. And also, the American administration is actively running in the direction of fascism. Welcome back 1920s and 1930s at the same time. It's fantastic. It's very cool. I love living through history. I love living through historic periods. It's fantastic. Let's get into it. Donald Trump created a process in which the Bloody Market Monday has taken place. I truly thought about staying behind in New York just to get a better read on Wall Street, but I wanted to be back here with my family, so I had to run back. And a lot of weird shit happened apparently, because I was half asleep on the plane, but like checking the reports, and it seems like there was also an error in the reporting that caused the markets to bounce back up because people were so desperate. Okay. In the midst of this chaos, there was a brief moment where someone misunderstood what Trump was saying, or what Trump's team was saying, and they literally reported it incorrectly. And it caused the markets to rebound because people were like, oh my God, thank God. Okay, the tariffs are a lie. Haha, it's fine. Yeah, here it is. This absolute comedy. The market was blood red today. Then an unattributed rumor was started on X and there was a consideration of a 90-day tariff pause. The market turned green. Then 5 minutes later, the White House denied the rumor. The market became red again. What are we doing? It is a clown show. And it's not even fake news, by the way. It wasn't even a fake news situation. It was that Bloomberg account and it's not even a real Bloomberg account. It's just like Walter Bloomberg or something. And he just like makes it seem as though he's directly reporting from the Bloomberg terminal. Like he just tweets like he is a Bloomberg terminal. And ironically enough, he misunderstood what the fucking dude was saying. I don't think Walter Bloomberg, this guy, I don't think that he was reporting this because he wanted to misinform the public. I think he was reporting this because he's a blue checkmark account that wants to be first to market and misunderstood what Hassett was saying. Because Hassett basically said something along the lines of like, you know, when I'm asked a question and I say, yeah, no, that's kind of how he replied to a question as far as I understand. And he misinterpreted it. And because it's a Twitter blue checkmark account, he went first to market with it. And when that happened, it blew up. It's so crazy. This is everything that I talk about. This is precisely what I talk about in terms of like misinformation and how stupid it is. Remember who posted fake Hassett headlines in Bloomberg style? Reuters reported on it, chat. Reuters, as in fake news from a unverified, silly ass Twitter account, caused actual financial newsrooms to literally go to market with the fucking bullshit. It is crazy. This is the world we live in today. Do you understand how psychotic that is? CNBC reported on it. Instantly, the markets flipped and everyone was like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. The tariffs are just fake. He was just joking. 90-day pause. We have confidence in the market again. Buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. Donald Trump's White House comes back and says, you. That's not what we meant, bitch. It's fake news. We're going to make the market scream. Here it is.
Will you do a 90-day pause? Would you consider that?
Or Bill, yeah, you know, I think that the president is going to decide what the president's going to decide.
Yeah, he said, yep, I think the president's going to, that's it. That's the reason. This is a misinterpretation of this from a blue checkmark Twitter account that wanted to be first to market and pump the goddamn tweet and get clout and maybe like $35 in Twitter revenue. That is the reason why almost $1 billion of value came back to the market over this one key piece of misinformation. Oh my God, 3.5 trillion. 3.5 trillion? Oh my God. Oh my God. I thought it was billions. I didn't realize it was, oh my God. And then it dipped again when the White House said this is not correct. Insane market action right now. Market exploded on a headline attributed to Kevin Hassett. And now nobody can figure out where it came from. And the markets are diving again. An 8% surge and a 3.5% plunge in a matter of seconds. Money is so fake. This is, ironically enough, the contradictions of capitalism in full display. This right here is the problem with the financialized capitalist global economy. A little bit of misinformation in times of instability can cause market movements like this. I never want to hear any economist or any expert tell me that this is a rational process ever again. Oh, supply demand. Look at the supply demand. All of this is fake. It's all about confidence. Nobody fully understands the fundamentals, and the fundamentals don't even matter. It just doesn't matter. You cannot have a situation where a madman can single-handedly wipe out $7 trillion of value over the course of a couple days, only to have it bounce back for 3.5 trillion because the people are so desperate for a return to normalcy that they cope and believe a random Twitter blue checkmark account who did not understand the point that this dude was making and heard his transition word where he used yep for a brief moment, for literally half of a second, and that brought back $3.5 trillion in value. Money is fake. It's the most fake it's ever been, and it will only get more fake. This is why I always used to tell you that the only difference between cryptocurrencies and the stock market is at least that there is like some assets that you can associate within the stock market. And at least historically, the stock market was based on fundamentals. It was always unstable. It was always gambling, but at least there was like a little bit less gambling. Okay. Cryptocurrency is like playing roulette with a blindfold on, whereas the stock market is like playing blackjack. The odds are more in your favor in that process. And there's a method. There's a rule book to it, but it's still gambling. It's very cool that everything in our economy, every single company in our economy works in the casino. How amazing. And all of this stuff would not happen if this wasn't the perfect storm of, one, automation, because there are so many trades that are happening in an automated process. And because so many people were incredibly desperate to hear a sense of normalcy. Now, the last part that I want to maintain, the last part that I want to mention here about this entire process being a casino is that Donald Trump bankrupted his casino. He literally bankrupted his casino. He's bankrupting the casino again. What is happening? But this time it's the global casino. Oh my God. This is literally the same. The guy who had 6 bankruptcies, including bankrupting a casino, is bankrupting the global casino. And now he's over here sucking the cock of Benjamin Netanyahu, a war criminal. Holy I don't know if you guys saw the tweets of people on the timeline being like, I hope Jews do control this entire system. Please fix it. I saw people posting being like, oh my God, I've never wished for the Jews to be in control of the global financial marketplace until this very moment. Please, Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu, sir, please control it. Please fix it. What is this? No matter what happens, just remember it's the Jews. Dude, that's just cope, okay? Nazis are coping today, okay? They simultaneously are like, oh yeah, Jews are these all-powerful magic money people that are controlling the global financial market. Look at the Rothschild family or whatever. And then simultaneously, this Christian guy is just dunking on the global financial market, and it's like, well, it's the Jews again. It's the Jews again. They did this somehow. It's like, come on, man. You think they would let this happen? Are you crazy? if they had motion like that?
We'll be talking to China. We'll be talking to a lot of different countries, and I think if we can make a really fair deal and a good deal for the United States, not a good deal for others. This is America first. It's now America first. And we didn't put America first. We put America last. The people that were in the Oval Office put America last, and we're not going to stand for it.
He's actively destroying the country. He's actively destroying the global economy. He's destroying everything. Dude, look, I am not a spiritual person at all, but you got the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. You have pestilence. RFK Jr. bringing back measles, it fell out of fashion, and the trend has created it once again. It's fashionable again, okay? You got Donald Trump, a false presenter of Christendom, destroying the global economy for no discernible reason, for no real reason. I'm the economy because I'm bored, okay? That's what he's doing. And also simultaneously undermining the remaining protections that average citizens have against government overreach, destroying it. It is crazy. It's end time. What are we doing?
That
How
it
do
was-
all these evangelicals not recognize that this is like real end time shit? Every day I think to myself that this is going to recover because there's too much vested interest, that like the Fed is going to bail them out. But like even if they lowered interest rates, I don't even know if you could bail him out in this process. Like he is accelerating a recession in an effort. Let's say he's trying to trigger a recession with the hopes that the Fed will bail him out. Okay. Let's say that that's the goal here. I feel like that's that's one of the things that he could be trying to do. But even then, like what do you do? What do you do in that process? Like that's not going to work. It doesn't make sense. It's beginning to feel a lot like the collapse, the internal collapse of the USSR. But this time it's not being accelerated by outside forces, like Western capitalist forces that wanted this to happen. And instead, it's just happening because we're bored.
They paid NATO. We have a deficit with the European Union of $350 billion. And it's going to disappear fast. And one of the reasons and one of the ways that can disappear easily and quickly is they're going to have to buy our energy from us because they need it. They're going to have to buy it from us. They can buy it. We can knock off $350 billion in 1 week. They have to buy and commit to buy a like amount of energy. And we have that. You know, we have more energy than any country in the world. I don't know if you know.
Dude. He was asked if the EU zero tariffs enough. His answer, not enough. He also waved away suggestions that U.S. trading partners would go to China. They want to be in the arms of the U.S. Yeah, because the tariffs are not about tariffs. They're not real tariffs. Well, Trump is instituting real tariffs, and the counter tariffs, the retaliatory tariffs are real. But the reason why he instituted tariffs to begin with were not because those countries had tariffs. It's because of a trade deficit that we have. And Donald Trump doesn't understand why America has a trade deficit. It is a trade-off so that the United States of America gets to maintain the global currency in which global trade happens with the dollar. This is the responsibility. This is what happens. America is the largest consumption engine on the planet, and also simultaneously, all of the trade is done on the US dollar. This is how we dominate the planet. He's like, oh, this trade deficit is up. It's up. We got to fix the trade deficit. Who's going to buy American-made products in much poorer nations, you idiot? You have the SWIFT system. 80% of all trade happening is literally controlled by America, okay? And that is partially as a consequence of the way that we have designed the global market. It's partially a consequence of our trade deficits with these countries. It is crazy. It's crazy. He doesn't understand it. How does he not understand this? You're the president twice now. An anonymous Twitter account sent markets reeling today. How are you going to tell me that the stock market is any different than a coin at this point? Like, this is insane. Everything is held together by confidence. And everything that Trump is doing is undermining said confidence. It's creating unimaginable instability and volatility, which will allow some people to make money in the short term, but that is not long-term stability. The stock market is a vibes casino. Why are you against stock market dumping? Isn't this taking from the rich? Brother, I don't care about that at all. I care about the actual consequences that it will have on the material realities of working class Americans and working class people all around the world. What the are you talking about? Lighting the top 1%'s money on fire in a way where they will be able to recover from this, but you won't because your retirement is also set on fire in the process, is not exactly a great redistribution of wealth and resources. Hello? What are you talking about? How about we take $6 trillion of value and reallocate it into redistributive policies in the form of wealth taxes? Don't you think that that would have been a much better use of the fake money that we're talking about? No, we can't do that. God forbid that's what happened. In the process. That would be terrifying. We could never do that. No, it's actually awesome that we're just like burning money on fire. Fake money, fake value that existed is no longer in existence. This somehow is the only way to over the rich. Meanwhile, you're getting over way harder than the rich. 2/3 of Americans adults own stocks. Yeah, I mean, but it's nothing. Okay. The problem is the top 1% own 50% of all the stocks. The bottom 50% own 1% of the stocks. So when the stock market is doing well, the top 1% are doing fantastic. But when the stock market is doing poorly, yeah, the top 1% also lose trillions of dollars sometimes of value, billions of dollars in value. But that $1 billion of value being lost for the bottom 50% of wealth is incredibly consequential, way more consequential than what it looks like for the top 1%. And it's not just the market in and of itself, because that's just your retirement fund perishing overnight, okay? Your retirement fund perishes overnight. That sucks. But that's just the beginning of the hurt. The implications for the overall economy are far more dire, far more consequential for average everyday Americans. The cost of living skyrocketing is a direct consequence of these tariffs, which can be seen as a universal regressive sales tax, which harms the working poor, are far worse than the impacts that it will have for the wealthy. I'm going to describe this probably a million times over, because as I've said time and time again, tariffs are an entry fee. American importers start paying said entry fee. There's retaliatory tariffs on the other side as well, which makes it less likely for these countries to also get goods from American exporters. Okay? When the cost of living goes up, people can't purchase the things that they would normally purchase. Their purchasing power goes down. When purchasing power goes down, companies start laying off workers because they no longer can grow. Okay? They no longer can maintain. They no longer can grow. They start laying off workers. That creates a depressive spiral, first through a recession and then through depression. Because when people are laid off, they have even less purchasing power and less demand overall. This is what I'm talking about in terms of Trump's actions in the short term and in the long term, destroying the American economy. Monday's trading action was bizarre in many ways, but one specific mystery about a misleading headline that sent stocks ping-ponging all over the place highlights just how fragmented and expensive access to breaking financial news can be, even at times when it really matters to retail investors. The U.S. stock market did indeed go bananas this morning thanks to a headline that falsely claimed White House advisor Kevin Hassett had said President Donald Trump was considering a 90-day pause in tariffs. Here's the video. It's really funny. This is literally how it started. Let's watch.
Will you do a 90-day pause? Would you consider that?
Or Bill, yeah, I think that the president is going to decide what the president's going to decide. There are more than 50 countries in negotiation with the president. We've got the prime minister of Israel coming today. We've had a reach out overnight from Taiwan. And but I would urge everyone, especially Bill, to ease off the rhetoric a little bit. The fact is that say 10% baseline tariff is on 14% of GDP. That's about how much trade we have, how many imports. And so 86% of GDP is affected by the deregulation and the tax cuts and everything else. And even if you think, and I think a lot of us at the White House think that these economic responses are exaggerated by critics, even if you think that there will be some negative effect from the trade side, that's still a small share of GDP. And so the idea that it's going to be a nuclear winter or something like that is completely irresponsible rhetoric.
Yeah, he started out by saying, yeah, Trump is going to do what he's going to do. That's it. That minor yeah is all it took. That minor yeah, when he was responding, not implying that Trump is indeed putting a 90-day fucking pause on tariffs, was all it took for this one Twitter account that wanted to be first to market and get as much clout as possible to create this incredibly unstable situation. CNBC anchors read out the headlines on air as they tried to explain why markets had started to soar. In all, the S&P 500 rallied nearly 6% from where it had been trading right before the mystery headline. The White House said within the hour that no one knew about the supposed plan, a rare chance to properly use the term fake news. Stocks sold off by the same amount they'd rallied and then seesawed around for a while. By mid-afternoon, they were basically flat for the day. So where exactly did the headline come from? That's a tougher question to answer than you'd think. The obvious point of contagion was the Walter Bloomberg account using the X handle Delta I1 using a capital I instead of an L, which says it's based in Switzerland. This is not a guy named Walter Bloomberg, nor does he write from Bloomberg. This account's entire deal is just reposting financial newswire headlines. Here's a post via screen grab since the account has since deleted the post. As you can see, it came at 10:13 a.m. and really made the rounds within the next 30 minutes or so. So did someone posting as Walter Bloomberg make up a headline to save the market, to cash out, or just to introduce some chaos into the day? If so, it'd be a little strange for the account to keep posting, mostly because that type of thing seems actionable. It also seems like it'd be a bad idea for the account to attract this type of scrutiny. As we said, it basically just copies financial breaking news headlines from news wires, and those wires often come with an extremely pricey subscription. If Hassett had done an exclusive interview about major U.S. policy decisions. He did not, probably. Only a major financial news service would have been able to get that exclusive access. The newswires don't just offer one uniform news feed either. While we aren't 100% up to speed on the latest business models, some newswires have been known to deliver news feeds to different subscribers at different speeds. This is reasonable to an extent because not all professional subscribers can use the same level of access. So it does seem possible that some experimental headline writing product or a budget subscription published a bad headline that was then picked up by the Walter Bloomberg account. There's also one less than obvious analog with reality that could have been misinterpreted by an overzealous headline writer or LLM. In a Fox and Friends interview, National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett stalled by saying, yep, before saying the president is going to decide what the president is going to decide. This was obviously not confirmation, especially because he then argued that observers are overreacting to the tariff news. Another problem with that explanation is that the interview happened nearly 2 hours before Delta One published the headline. Whoever's running the account isn't helping solving the mystery either. When asked by one of his followers, he cited both Reuters and CNBC as the source of the headline. Remember, though, the CNBC anchors seem to be reading his post. One of his screen grab resources shows a Reuters Newswire headline, but that was from 10:23 a.m. and cites CNBC. Now, it's not great if CNBC flashed a headline because one of their anchors wrote a social media post that turned out to be nonsense. In their defense, however, markets had already started to take off before they read it. So it's starting to look like the main thing we've learned today is the influence of Delta One account and its 849,000 followers. Are that many traders really following an aggregator to save money? Or are markets just so hyper responsive that even an ex-Anon account can cause a 6% swing? Things get even weirder. An account called Hammer Capital posted the same headline at 10:11 a.m. That's before the post from Walter Bloomberg or CNBC or any other sources we found. Hammer Capital's been on Twitter since March 2021, and we're including a screen grab of his post below in case it's deleted. We've contacted both him and Walter Bloomberg for comment. That was through DMs, though, so it's unclear whether we'll have much success. We've also contacted Reuters. They haven't responded, but did publish an advisory story withdrawn on Hass's comment on tariff pause. In that retraction, Reuters said it originally published a story because of CNBC. We've contacted CNBC for comment, and we will update anything with anything we hear. Anyway, the market has been zigzagging all over the place since this morning. That's presumably because some traders think the U.S. president can be swayed by market reactions to fake news. Or as the Quantian account puts it, so we bounced 8% on a fake headline, sold off when people realized it was fake, and then bounced again when it occurred to people that if we bounced that much on a fake headline, imagine how much we'd bounce on a hypothetical real one. Money is fake, the stock market is gambling, and it's a casino that is built around confidence in the stock market, at least reacting in a normal way, in a rational way, when human beings are obviously irrational. This heightens the contradictions of over-relying on finance like this, and this story in and of itself is a perfect demonstration that this is an untenable, unmanageable system. And here we are. So crazy that we have coinified the stock market. In some ways it always was, but this is the most coin version of the stock market.